View Tube, a Brannon House television network.
The Tamara Scott Show. Tamara has served as the state director for one of America's largest pro-life, pro-family public policy organizations. In 2007, Tamara was named one of America's top 10 most influential kingmakers by the Religion News Association. Tamara has spent years proclaiming and defending the values of a Christian worldview that is the foundation of our constitutional republic. And now, here is your host, Tamara Scott.
Hey everybody, welcome. It is Tamara Scott, The Tamara Scott Show, helping you live God's Word in today's world when the headlines hit home. Having primaries in 6 states yesterday, a lot of headlines are hitting. Some of those headlines and some of those victories and some of those losses may be different for all of you. Let me tell you this. The only way you can make a difference is when you get involved and decide to help make the difference yourself. Though I do have a concern about money seeming to play more of a part in these elections than ever before. But primaries are your time to decide the best candidate. As I said to you yesterday, it is not about getting on who the pundits say will win or who the consultants say has cash or even who has endorsements. It is the one that God has given you clarity on, that you have prayed about, weighed out, and you've gone and asked questions. You've done your research. That is the key. The republic survives by a few being watched by the many. You can't just trust being spoon-fed by headlines and certainly not by campaign ads. But I see that happening. Many times Republicans, Democrats, don't vote in their primaries. These are the most important elections. It determines who will run in your general. Too many of you say, I'm not happy with either choice. It's a lesser of two evils. You could have had the best had you voted wisely in a primary. So I say this to you. 6 states, we'll talk about it when maybe at the end of the show. And tomorrow, I think we're going to do a show with individuals from several of those states and kind of recap for you. But you are the one who decides who is viable. Not the consultants, not even the donors, if you will pay attention and do your work. Work, truth, effort can beat the donor name. My concern is that elections, primaries as well, have come down to flash, whether it's the video, social media, influence presence, to funds, the big dollars that seem to send out the flyers and the mailers that seem to be the only touch many people get, or famous names. And that, my friends, is a frightening path forward if that's where we decide to go. So you need to get in and do your homework. Find a candidate you can get behind, and if there is none, maybe it's up to you to run in the future. All right, I want to jump right to our guest, Tom DeWeese, who was just with us not too long ago, but I realized I needed to have him back. As I've said, Tom was one of the first big names I got to have in local radio years ago, in the 90s, when we were talking about property rights, we were talking about our liberties. He was there as the founder and president of the American Policy Center. And he's been at work since that time, working internationally, recognized as an expert on issues of sustainable development and its attack on private property. He's the author of 3 books, including Now Tell Me I Was Wrong, Erase, and Sustainable, The War on Free Enterprise, Private Property, and Individuals. Tom DeWeese, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Tamara. Thanks so much for having me.
We are delighted. We're delighted anytime we can get you. Last time we talked, you had an article coming out on data centers that was supposed to, I think, maybe even be the cover article for the New American. Is it out now?
It is. And it is the cover.
I
see the title, the AI Prison Planet. That's
I apparently
the title.
Got my subscription so I can get these again. AI Planet.
Yeah.
And if people don't have a subscription, where can they find that article?
I believe that, well, you get it from the John Birch Society. I mean, they're the ones that publish the New American Magazine, but they are starting to get the magazine into bookstores and various other places. So it's been growing quite a bit.
The
So
beautiful
that's good
magazine.
news.
Absolutely.
I really think it's the best magazine in the country.
It's
So
so well done and always
uh,
new articles. And for those people who say John Birch and then they kind of step back, John Birch Society was one of the first warning us about communism in America. They were one of the first, I think, to be canceled before we knew and had a name for cancel culture. You're writing, you're working with them. So what would you say to those viewers out there who hear concerns about John Birch?
well, they have been because, as you described, clear back in the 1960s and before, they were getting this information out, and so they were absolutely targeted. They had to discredit them. They had to make sure that people didn't believe them. And to this day, and many times you say their name, and people just kind of back off. Oh, those guys, bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists. Every single thing they've ever predicted has come true. And so that's what it comes down to, and they're expanding and they're beginning to build. And one of the things they're now starting to look into are young people, getting to the young people instead of just staying around with us old retirees, to keep the message going there. And that is amazing, an amazing thing that's happening. I'm hearing reports that young people, kids in high school, are starting to realize that their future looks hopeless with what we're dealing with. They're very, very concerned about that. There are young couples that are afraid to date, even, let alone get married, have children, try to buy a home. And my stepdaughter and her fiance just this last couple of weeks finally bought a home and ready to start their life. And I am just shocked by what they went through trying to get a mortgage loan and the rules and so forth they put on there. Things I bought several places and I've never heard of that kind of thing that they've gone through. They needed a little bit extra money for the down payment. And her fiance, Joe, works with me on some projects. And I had already, before this all started, I had promised him that I was going to pay him some extra money to help me with this one particular project. And so I thought, well, I'll just give it to you early. Here it is. Nope, can't do it that way. It's, and they wouldn't allow it. I had to just lend them the money out of my personal account. And instead of paying him with legitimate payment that I've been paying him for years,
What business is it of theirs?
Exactly.
How this money? This is frightening to me, Tom.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, and we're going to get in today to the AI data centers, to the personal property, to personal privacy, all of this, and we're at the root of it, public-private partnerships, which you've been warning about over a decade. But I played earlier this week a clip, maybe even last week, a clip out of Canada. An astrophysicist, so this is a brilliant young man, was ambushed in a coffee shop by the thought police because he was warning about things the government was doing. Not only did they ambush him at the coffee shop, Tom, but later there's a video online, we've played it for our viewers, of him looking out the window of his car to this officer in a very nice tone saying, we're part of a program and we're just going to take you in to, it's called Certify, to have you answer some questions. We don't think you would do it voluntarily. Basically, they're kidnapping him and involuntarily putting him in a psych ward. And he is now in a psych ward, an astrophysicist, simply because he was sending letters to the members of parliament to warn them about dangerous relationships. I don't know if it was China or who it was, but he's on to something and they don't want to hear it. And they're going to quietly hush him away.
I have been hearing very similar things here in the U.S., people fighting the data centers, that federal agencies, government agencies, police agencies, FBI, and so forth, are looking at those of us who are opposed to these data centers as technology opposition and as some kind of an organized threat to the future, the infrastructure of our nation. And the lie has been spreading now that the Chinese are paying for the opposition against the data centers, and they are busing people to these opposition, people protesting these things. I have been working with activists across this country on the data centers, and this is an absolute lie. The people who are standing up and fighting these are citizens. They are legitimate people. They are not getting money from the Chinese. If anybody was going to get money from the Chinese for opposing the data centers, it would be me and a few other people, and Aaron Brockovich and so forth. But no, we're not getting anything like that. That doesn't exist. There's an absolute lie to pretend like this is really a great thing, and these crazy people are trying to stop it.
A lot of lies out there, a lot of misinformation, but a lot of frightening information if we'll hear it. Which reminds me to our viewers, the very stories I asked someone one time, how do we know conspiracies are true? Those are not true. And they said, when they don't want you to talk about it, they don't want you to mention it, they don't want to hear about it, then you better dig deeper. We've got our own nuclear scientist and scientists who have come up missing, several, and one was just found. The remains of Melissa Cassius were just found, I think, in Los Alamos, I think in New Mexico, with a gun by her side, is what I heard, I think, from Fox News, though her IDs were not with her, they were not taken. It again seems very suspicious, Tom, and we've seen time and again when dictators and authoritarian governments take over, they get rid of the educational elite or the academics in many cases. So there's concern over that as well. How this all plays together, I don't know if it does, but it is concerning to say the least. Do you want to say anything on that before we go to break?
So I just want to say, I mean, this whole thing about conspiracy theories, the Southern Poverty Law Center has done 4 separate reports on me as a, terrorist and hate speech and all that. And, well, they're getting their due now, so it's going to come out. But this is what they do. Anybody who can come out and speak on some of these things is a danger to them. They've got to disqualify them and make sure that discredit them. Make sure that nobody believes what they say.
So we'll be right back with Tom DeWeese from the American Policy Center. We will talk about some very frightening facts and some myths. And what's the root of it? Where did this just start? That all of a sudden we're being hit with this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I need to tell you about our Bella Grace. The slender little sachet has the elixir with the collagen, astaxanthin, and cat's claw. In 2022, got an award for helping with cognitive function, and in 2023 in the sports arena for active ingredients, nutrition, and format. But the best is what we hear from so many of you. You have noticed better joint health, improved mobility, less eye strain and fatigue, helping with computer vision syndrome, visual acuity, depth perception, alleviating dry eyes, but also helping with your immunity, your stress management, endurance, less fatigue overall, not just eye fatigue, muscle recovery, mental clarity, focus, and gut health. Then there's the fun list. The firmer, smoother skin texture, fewer fine lines and wrinkles, improved skin elasticity, decreased age spots, more even skin tone, improved skin hydration, reduced oxidative stress, healthier nails, less cellulite, hair health, better sleep. Who wouldn't want any of those? Call them beauty items if you wish, but who doesn't want to feel a little bit better or more confident when you're going to present in the public square, when you're going to speak at a city council? And who just doesn't want to feel a little healthier? Maybe they're just byproducts of being healthier. More information at tamara.bellagraceglobal.com, tamara.bellagraceglobal.com.
That played in our primaries. To everybody just joining us, Tom DeWeese and I are talking about the primaries yesterday. All right, and I won't tell you what I think played a part in it. Not yet. Not till I can get some a little more investigation into it. All right. Tom DeWeese, you've written about public-private partnerships. I was learning from you and quoting on a 50,000 watt station in Iowa about the dangers of public-private partnerships when my governor was touting public-private partnerships. And I was national committee woman. Not always a comfortable walk, but I will do what I can to protect the Constitution, individual liberty, and our rights and responsibilities. Tom, you've been talking about this for so long. Take us through it.
Yeah, well, as we've been talking all these years about there is this global agenda that is behind it. We talked about Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, the Great Reset, the Green New Deal. All are the same plan. They are all designed to eliminate national sovereignty and independence, focusing on property rights and our representative government and all of that. This is why I get the tinfoil hats, because I've been talking about this for a long time. These are the conspiracy theories, but they're coming true. And Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum, and he wrote his book, The Great Reset, and he said in there that as they went along, a few corporations would survive what they were planning to do. Now think about that. Free enterprise all over the world, a few corporations will survive. These are the corporations that will play ball with them and provide the specific products that they need. That'd be the food industry. It could be the power industry, things like that. And why would only a few survive? Because they're playing ball. This absolutely destroys free enterprise. You take the article we were just talking about, that you sent me about El Paso, and the title is How Public-Private Partnerships Are Powering the Next Generation of Smart Cities. Well, there you go, right there. Smart cities are part of the Agenda 21 Sustainable Development Control from the top. And there's a paragraph in here. What they're talking about in the article is El Paso's government, their city government, partnering with an electric company for long-term. Well, here's what they say: partnering with energy technology partner Schneider Electric is one part of El Paso's long-term vision to develop a community where both local companies and residents flourish. Oh, that sounds so nice. We're all going to be so well off. So I asked this question: who's in control? The elected representatives who were elected to protect the rights of the people, or the company that's making the policy for bigger profits? And they're saying that, that we're going to save money, we're going to cut back on things. Where do other companies come into this? How do they compete? This is all locked in with one company, and it's not free enterprise. Maybe some other company has a better idea. They could make it even cheaper. They could make a better product. But no, they weren't playing the game. We're in partnership with this other. And so that's what they did. And as you get into it, as they talk about these sweeping municipality infrastructure and modernizing, everything being just wonderful, smart cities. Who voted for it? No one. You have these elected officials who were elected by the people to represent them. They get into office. They are surrounded by these non-governmental organizations pushing to put these policies in place. And then you get certain corporations that go in to play ball. If they do, those corporations, whether it's at the city level or the federal level, they're in there helping make the policy. And they can make that policy to put their competition out of business so that they have a monopoly on it. They make the rules. And this is what Klaus Schwab meant when he said a few corporations will survive, the kingmakers.
Absolutely. And well said. And I come back to this article, and Thomas, thank you for putting it back up on there. But it says a fifth plant currently under construction will create 300 new jobs in part of Schneider Electric's push to modernize or expand its electric equipment manufacturing facilities. expanding the company's existing campus in El Paso to keep up with growing demand for switchgear and power distribution products in a key component of that investment. All right, so to your point, well, first off, government is now determining winners and losers. They're determining who gets the grants or the partnerships, not the people. So we lose the power of our dollar, the voice of our dollar. But here, they're going to expand this one company, which, Tom, it's an old saying, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. You don't know what could happen with this company, corruption, anything else. And two, what about competition? Good old-fashioned competition helps us with lower rates, lower cost, more competitive ingenuity in coming up with the latest cutting-edge technology. This is just bad on all fronts. And it's happening, I think, in all of our states. Is it under the guise of economic development?
Oh, absolutely. And as you say, I mean, this is the destruction of the free enterprise system. The free enterprise system is where thousands and millions make decisions on things, people with different ideas, a different way to look at something. And that is how we have moved forward with new inventions, with new ideas on how to do things. And how many times have we heard somebody, we always did it this way. Wow, that's a new idea. Wow, that would work, because individuals, and this is how individuals begin to build their lives, their hopes, their dreams, to live a life as they want to live it, buying the property that they would like to have to live on for the rest of their life because they love the neighborhood or the area where it is or something like that. And all of a sudden you get one of these partners who come in and say, well, we need that space. We could much better use it. One of the things that's happening right now, they're talking about, we've got to have affordable housing and so forth. And what I'm hearing these NGOs saying, when you have a single family neighborhood where you've got a house where 4 people live in it with a backyard and a driveway and a place for the kids to be, and right there on the street they want to live on, well, we could put 100 families in that space with a high-rise apartment building. So that's just selfish for them to live there and think that's okay when we've got people who need that housing. And so this is the argument that they use, and begin to go in and destroy those neighborhoods. What's happening then? People are losing the value in their property. The property value goes down, so they've lost the equity. And our founding fathers understood that the way individuals built their own private lives and their own prosperity was greatly through private property ownership. And the reason they created a government, that its main thing, this was your right to start with. This is your God-given right you're born with. And the government's job is to protect that. We are moving now to what every other country is controlled by, where the government decides what your rights are. And now you've got public-private partnerships with corporations who are helping to make those policies, to put their competition out of business and make them one of the few that survive. And free enterprise is dead, private property is dead, personal choice is dead, representative government is dead when this is put into place.
Well said, my friend. Absolutely well said. And I'm trying to recap it while we're talking. But there are so many great points here. Government picks the winners and losers, not the people. We lose the power of our dollar, consumer. Corporations make the rules, the laws, the legislations, not necessarily elected officials. It comes into effect by what corporations are doing. We've seen this, whether it was COVID, but corporations were determining what we could and couldn't do, not elected officials. And then the limit of the startups, making it more difficult to have competition, sometimes putting a flat out moratorium. In Iowa, we have donors to political parties who own casinos, and then all of a sudden we'll do a moratorium, no more casinos. All that does is ensure the owner of that casino is going to make bank because there's no more competition. We see it now with the CO2 pipeline. They've already recommended that we have a moratorium in the second phase after somebody gets established in that one. And we'll talk about that because that also is taking over, undoing private property, the protection that we have in the Constitution, and it's biblical. Private property came out of the Bible, by the way. And there was more on this. There's just so much more to these points, Tom. I thank you for being the first out that I knew, warning us about this, but to stay with this and recap it for us. We'll come back. We'll tie it to the AI data centers. We are already. We'll tie it to what you're seeing with what you're saying about shaming people for owning private property. Couple this with Mondami in New York saying he's coming after the slum lords, going to take their property. Couple that with World Economic Forum, you'll own nothing by 2030 and be happy about it. And Tom, I'm coming up with my own conspiracy theory as to why we'll be happy about it. It's pretty gruesome. All right. But we never thought it would be our own elected officials locally that would help bring that to being. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Tom DeWeese, American Policy Center.
Do you like drinking toxins that could cause cancer, inflammation, and all kinds of other autoimmune diseases? Of course you don't. Well, much of our water in America is full of toxins. That's a proven fact. WorldviewWater.net. WorldviewWater.net is your solution so that you can drink good, clean water. In fact, I give it to all my 3 fur babies, all my 3 dogs. I have one under my kitchen sink, one of these filters, as well as on my shower. WorldviewWater.net.
This is our new NutraSwish, Numi NutraSwish. You can find more information at Numi, neumi.com/TTSS. neumi.com/TTSS, one of the products we offer because you all have different preferences and respond differently to different items. So this is our lavender. It's for ladies anywhere along your journey. No hormones in it, but if you're taking a supplement, of hormonal supplement, you might want to check with your doctor. The blue is for anyone over the age of 18. It has the glutathione, which is a antioxidant, helps with over 400 cellular functions, and it helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, one of those terms we learned after 2020, and it helps detox glyphosate. The good glutathione helps detox glyphosate. Glyphosate is found in ag chemicals or lawn chemicals, and some are very concerned about possible links to cancers, HPVs, and diabetes. But the blue bottle, the glutathione, helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, and glyphosate. Then there's the mango-colored bottle you see on your screen. Numi Neuro helps with your mind, your memory, and your focus. Now, again, after 2020, we heard something about brain fog, a term we'd not heard before. Whether it's from a virus or a vaccine, many have found relief, a little help with Numi Neuro, the mango-colored bottle. When used with the blue bottle, it is so positive that the American Brain Council wrote about it, and it looked like an endorsement. Though we're told they don't write endorsements, it was simply a positive review of what they saw. You can find more information at Numi, neumi.com/TTSS, neumi.com/TTSS for the Tamara Scott Show. Why? Because we want you feeling your best. And when you use that TTSS link, you help us be our best.
Thomas, if you could put up the frame at 317 in Tom DeWeese's training that he put out in 2017, there it is right there. Many of you may not quite understand a public-private partnership. It sounds so positive when the economic development people bring it out to us. Tom, do you want to quickly just explain right there? I think your graphic is so good.
Yeah, it's where you have your whole society, and you've got the people and the communities and local organizations and so forth. But look at the size, the government agencies and the businesses. They are not people we elected to be there. The businesses have a right to be in business, and it should be government's job to protect their right to be in business. But when you go into partnership with this one over here and not these over there, then you begin to completely change the entire thing. And of course, the government agencies are behind pushing these policies, the grant programs, and so forth. And as I just to bring that home, as I mentioned, we were on the break, this one paragraph in this article about the whole project here in El Paso. It says, additionally, the project prioritizes partnerships by using county-approved local contractors and suppliers to keep the investment in the community. Again, this is government control, and there's no free market there, and no citizen input. And the reason, as I mentioned earlier, that they're saying, well, no, it's not. They are putting in a policy that these NGOs came in and pushed on them and were dictated to them through government grants. That's where but they're saying, oh, well, we're just doing this all for the community, going to build prosperity. And all over this whole article is sustainable, sustainable, sustainable. Private property ownership cannot survive under sustainability. It cannot work. They couldn't use sustainable programs and keep private property in place. And this is why I have advocated all over the country to local activists, work to protect your private property rights, and you can stop the whole sustainable agenda.
Key right there, private property rights, which we are struggling to maintain here in Iowa. All right, so I want to also hit on that article. I want two things. Oh, I hope I didn't already lose one. You mentioned the control of the counties, the county approved contractors. I want to clarify this. This is not, it's already bad enough that we have to get a county permit to put on a deck on our house, a county permit to have electrical work done at our house. It has to be approved if you take down a wall and do something different in your house. To me, that's bad enough. I don't like that, I have to tell you. But this isn't just the permit process, Tom. This is, we will determine who is an approved contractor, who can do business in our county. That's a whole new level. That's.
Yeah. These companies, of course, know how to play the game, the ones who are involved in it. And so they've got their guys there at the all over the top of your local elected representatives. Hey, we've got it all right here. We got the plan here. We've got money for it. We can do this. We can do that. We just need you to allow us, to give us the permission, give us the power to, to do certain things. You had, what we ran into in Iowa and South Dakota and North Dakota and others on the carbon capture pipeline. And you had an unelected board, the Iowa Utilities Board, that was granting the power of eminent domain to the corporations to build the pipeline. And, the Gerald Bosley, his situation, farmer who was opposed to all of this, they end up showing up on his property, these private corporations with their agents. They arrive like, the Gestapo, and go over his property, looking around his office while he was out in the field, and then accused him of threatening them. And they arrested him for trying to protect his own property. And this is what farmers all over this country have been intimidated with. The whole purpose of them doing that to him was to shut up opposition, and thinking the other farmers were going to say, start to shake and say, oh, golly, we're not going to be able to do anything about it. It backfired on them, and the farmers rose up and stormed the state capitol on that, on what they did to him. And so there's an example of what you can do locally to stand up, because as I was in Iowa trying to inform people and warn them about the carbon capture pipelines, and so many county governments were saying, well, there's nothing we can do about it. The Iowa Utilities Commission says, and I would look at them and say, who do you represent? Private corporations or the people who voted for you? That's, you're elected to represent them and their needs. There were a few counties that did start to make moves to protect private property and listen to that. But there were a whole lot of them. They're just shaking their shoes. There's nothing we can do about this. And we are finding one of the big problems we have are that the absolute ignorance of an awful lot of elected officials who do not understand the power they have, And if an unconstitutional rule comes from the federal government or the state government to the local government has the right to say, no, we are not going to fall for this, and we're going to protect our citizens' rights. And this is one thing I've been trying to teach them as we go along.
It's nullification. It's part of our Constitution. It is what our founding fathers put in there. It's not only the right to say no, it's the responsibility to say no. It's an obligation, if you are elected, to protect the oath of office, the oath of Constitution. That oath is that you will protect your people from unconstitutional regulations, laws, or actions, or even enforcement by the federal government or a state government. You are absolutely right, Tom. And you're talking about the unelected regulators making decisions. This same article we're referring to is Smart Cities Dive is what it's called. In January 2025, El Paso County Schneider Electric launched a sweeping municipal infrastructure modernization initiative across 30 county facilities under the leadership of Chief Administrator, that would be unelected, Betsy Keller, a 2026 Smart Cities Dive Public Service Award winner. These improvements are slated to deliver increased energy and cost efficiency, reduce carbon emissions, and improve the lives of El Paso County residents. Tom, I've never yet seen an electric bill go down with solar, winds, any of the alternatives playing in. I've never yet seen electric rates or bills go down because of smart city regulations.
And you're not going to see them go down. What you're going to see is your ability to get the amount of electricity you need go down as they are destroying the grid and what's supplying it. And of course, it gets into the data centers and the monstrous amount. I mean, here they are doing everything they can to get rid of all the electrical power that we have used for many, many, many decades to supply us very well. Get rid of all of that and only go to wind and solar, which produce next to nothing in the way of electricity. And so now you've got environmentalists who have been telling us for 20 years that we have to have all this massive open space. We've got to protect our water and on and on and on. And yet now we are burying all of that open space under solar panels or wind towers. And now with the massive size of these data centers, we're putting it under roof. And they're using up massive amounts of water, and we don't have they've cut off the electricity that we need, anyway. And where's the environmental movement now? Where is the hypocritical environmental movement that said we had to preserve all of this? Why aren't they out there with all the power they built up over the years in the government to stand there and stop this threat of these data centers and this idiotic use of all this electricity and everything? Hypocrites, because it never was about protecting the environment. It was always about political power to change the culture of our country so that we could have this global agenda that had control over our private property, our sovereignty, the way our communities are created. It's all about that. It had nothing to do with protecting the environment. That's what got me lots of tinfoil hats at the Southern Poverty Law Center, but it's true.
So our viewers know, I don't know if you've seen it, Tom, I would never wear a tinfoil hat, but I do don several tinfoil tiaras that the viewers have sent me.
Good for you.
And the problem is my conspiracy theories keep coming true. So I'm going to have to get some new ones. All right. But to your point, it was never about climate change or climate crisis. They used to call it, what would they call it? Climate warming. What they call it? Global warming.
Global warming,
kept getting snowed out every time they would go to meet, which was God's fun humor. But but it was never about climate change, climate crisis. It's always about control. Just like COVID, it was about control. All right, my friend, we've got a couple of minutes left before we go to break. Now, I know you're on a tight schedule. Can you stay for another 7 minutes till we close the program? Or
Sure, I can. Sure, I can. Yeah.
Okay. We're having much fun, Tom. You bring us such great information, and I so thank you. Tell our viewers about the article again on the magazine, New American Magazine, where they can get that article.
Yes, the New American Magazine. It's the cover article, the AI prison planet. The entire thing is about the data centers, and not only that, but about the threat of AI. This is the number one thing we have to understand. You can talk about how dangerous the data centers are, but you need to understand why. Why do they need these monstrous data centers covering all this ground? 40,000 acres in Utah that they want to put together there, and some more of those all over the country. Over 5,000 are working on that because the AI system is designed to completely gather every piece of information about you, everything you do, everything you own, who you associate with, your political beliefs, what you post on social media, the energy you use, on and on and on and on. All of that, every person on Earth is to have a file on them about that, so they can now look at you and see what you're doing. And that's the reason they need these massive data centers to keep all that information in there. So
It's, to me, Tom, it is search and seizure surveillance without a warrant. I don't like it. I'm not comfortable with it. All right, let's play a clip before we go to break. This is Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, with Abbott, Governor Abbott. And I have not seen the whole clip, but I am hopeful that Governor Abbott put a pushback to him on this statement. Thomas, let's play this.
Much of this money, not just the project, is going to be coming from the private sector, from savings accounts, from pension accounts, from insurance companies, on and on and on.
I saw the video coming into this. I didn't see him say voluntarily. If someone wants to, this is a cause they believe in and want to give to a cause, that's one thing. I didn't see that. When he's warning, he's going to take our funds, pension, savings, I don't know what he's going after, insurance companies, to pay for this AI war. And he says we must win the war. Well, Tom, to your point, you said there are already 5,000 data centers proposed or underway in America. And the Visual Capitalist keeps track of how many are in each state by country. You can find all of those things. I put them on the Tamara Scott Show Facebook before, but you could do a search with Visual Capitalist on all of those. We already have 4,000, I think, in America. China only has 400. I would say we've already won that war. To threaten us with this as to why we need to give up our personal savings, our land, our resources for the cause. You wait, it's going to come. For the common good, for the cause, which is a communistic statement in itself. I think people need to guard themselves and gird themselves to stand against this. Many are, as you've mentioned, the largest grassroots movement. We're at break time. We'll come back and let you follow up on this. But thank you, Tom DeWeese, American Policy Center, standing at guard of our liberties and our constitutional limitations on government. It's critical.
Three years ago, the United States was stunned by an announcement from war-torn Korea. U.S. Army Private David Hawkins and 20 other prisoners of the communists had become turncoats. They had renounced their own country and disappeared behind Red China's bamboo curtain.
What had you heard? Well, only what our Chinese captors had told us, how great they were working toward socialism, the great stride that they were taking, bettering the life of the Chinese people who for so many thousands of years had lived a life of oppression under various governments.
Perfect.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
Hey, everybody, we're coming back. Frequency.com/Tamara Scott, Frequency.com/Tamara Scott. We offer you a wide variety of products. We certainly don't expect you to order every one of them, but you have different preferences. You have different needs, and your bodies respond differently to different ingredients and items. So this is from Frequency.com/Tamara Scott. It's got the trace minerals, because you may even be trying to grow your vegetables to be healthier, but depending on the soil, it may be missing trace minerals. So this is just one of the products we offer. You can go to that website, Frequency.com/Tamara Scott, see the other products there. And I'm telling you, you may not like some of them. You may not want some of the ingredients. You shop it, you do your research. We don't spoon feed you here. We do bring together what we can, what we think would be helpful, whether it's these products, whether it's our information and our news, but you do your homework. Rise is another one of their offerings right there. And there's even a skincare, which I have yet to try. I did get the rose, I think it's rosemary or rose oil. I love it. I absolutely love it. As I said to you last week, I don't keep it in the master, what do they call it? Master suites. Now they call it master. There's a new funky name for master bath. I don't keep it in there. En suite, is that what they call it? But I keep it in my kitchen when I walk by. I remind myself, I just love the way it feels. So use those products if you like. When you use our taglines, you help us be our best. We want to help you be your best. Tom DeWeese, before we went to break, I want you to take us, we're talking about the dangers of all of this on our property rights. I'm calling it, I called this show Public-Private Partnerships, AI Data Centers, and the War on Americans' Rights and Resources.
That's exactly what it is. And as I was saying earlier, that this entire agenda that nobody ever wants to talk about, this global agenda run by the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, World Health Organization, and many, many, many more. There are 12,000 NGO organizations, non-governmental organizations, the Sierra Club, the Nature Conservancy, the World Economic, or the on and on and on. There's thousands of them that are pushing, and they are using fear of climate change has been the main one, to get us to voluntarily surrender our liberties and say, well, we got to do this. I mean, if we don't have a planet to stand on, then what good does it do to have any of those rights? And so I hear that all the time from them. And what I've been warning is that this is about destroying human society. I think the AI and everything connected with it is the greatest threat human society has ever faced. Hitler, Stalin, Lenin would have danced a jig over having this kind of control. And if you don't believe that, if you think, oh, come on, Tom, it's just technology, that's all we're talking about. Here is a quote from Larry Ellison, the head of Oracle. And he said, a vast AI-fueled surveillance system can ensure citizens will be on their best behavior. Do you have to hear more of that? They are talking about, as AI is being developed, we've already had lots of surveillance cameras everywhere, but these new surveillance cameras are going to be able to do your facial recognition, who you're working with, who you're talking to on the street, where stores you go into to buy, what items you buy. Every time you use that discount card at the grocery, it's recording what you bought. They told you that was so they knew what more things to supply, but it's a record that's there. All of this, that's the reason for these data centers, everything going in there about you, everything you do. And, in China, they've been doing this for many, many decades. And I read just recently that they've taken some of the large cities in China and divided them up with fences. And if you wanted to go from this side of town to the other side of town, you would have to go through a gate. And to get through that gate, you have a chip. It's you. It's your life person, your entire life history. And you got to show that chip to the gate, and probably buried in your arm. And if you don't qualify to, maybe your political beliefs are wrong, whatever, the gate won't open. You're trapped on that side of it. This is how they're using it. The other thing, we're talking about these massive data centers. The Chinese We're told that we have to keep up with them, keep ahead of them on all this, who are using much smaller the digital information. They aren't using the massive data centers. And so that part of it doesn't have to be done in the first place. They've already mastered how to use all of this stuff. But the other thing that I've been saying, that President Trump keeps telling us that we have, and that's because he's been told this, that we have got to be the leaders in AI, or China is going to rule the world. The point I make on this is, if you have everybody's information in these data centers, they can go in and hack that information, and now they've got it all, and every single human being, in our borders. If you don't collect all that information, we make their threat weaker, and that's where we need to go. We have got to protect our own private information, our own sovereignty of our lives, our own hopes, our own dreams. It is nobody's business to put that in a national, massive, global data bank to let these hackers get in there and control our lives. We've got to protect our privacy, our private property, our personal lives. That's got to be protected. That's number one. That's the first job of the people we elect for office.
Thomas, you were not confusing my names of my producer and you, Tom. You were one of the first to warn us about biometric identification on your licenses. This was, again, a decade or two ago that you were warning about this, and how they would be able to, with the data points on your face, know who you are, with cameras on every corner in every country. They would know your whereabouts in real time. They would be able to tell if you were nervous, if your pulse was racing, if you were sweating. You were warned about this way back in the day, when we no doubt we didn't even have we weren't even calling it conspiracy theories yet, right? But you were warning then. Now we have Twyla Braze from the Citizens Health Protection, I can't remember the group, but warning us about Real ID. Having it on your license plate, on your license, your little license, is how they can chip that. It's not right now, but will be. And they can know exactly where you are, where you're at. We're even hearing of people being stopped driving because someone thought they were on their phone. In time, you'll be able to tell electronically if that's the case or not. The EV cars, the kill switches, who can stop you if you've driven more than your estimated or allowed mileage. You're talking about the gates going back and forth. It sounds so much like the ghetto in Poland, or these war times. And you said Hitler would love this type of data. I've thought about this technology. Anne Frank, her family would not have been able to hide people in the attic. There would have been no hiding people in the forest. There would have been no hiding people in trunks. Not anymore. And so I do not know what will happen when we are under threat. And we didn't mention the word fascism. But fascism is what happens when you allow people to think they have private ownership, but it's under government control. We are there. We are sadly there. Tom DeWeese, thank you for joining us today. Parting words where people can find you, or you've given us a great parting challenge, but I offer you the last 30 seconds.
Thank you. Our website is americanpolicy.org and americanpolicy.org. And we have a 35-year archive of articles and all these things you've been mentioning, so it's there. And my books, and we have a handbook to give you background on how to organize and so forth. I call it Building a Freedom Pod. I'm happy to come to your community and speak to any local organizations you have that we could help people organize. So go to my website. You can contact me from there, and we're happy to help out. All we want to do is save our freedoms.
Tom DeWeese, thank you so much. And to everybody out there, we will put on the Tamara Scott Show as well the training video we talked about from 2017 on fighting some of the public-private partnerships and working with your government to do so. Always in a friendly manner. Go with a handshake, not an elbow out. You're not going to gain anything by coming in with threats. You start out trying to talk, and then when you get to where you need to protect your property, yes, you get a little bit more assertive and forceful, but not necessarily aggressive. And I have a video we'll show, maybe another show. It's on the Tamara Scott Show Facebook page. A gentleman who just does a great job explaining why we should take a pause and take time to figure out on these data centers. He just does a nice job. I'll put it on the Tamara Scott Show for you. Tom DeWeese, thank you, my friend, as we celebrate D-Day this Saturday. Thank you for helping us protect our land in this new war, this current war for private property, resources, and our personal rights. Bless you, my friend. To everybody out there, live boldly, love better, laugh bigger, be encouraged, and never be complacent.